So we've had the first race at the Bahrain Grand Prix of the season, and what a race we had. A brilliant start from Charles Leclerc. He managed to get past Sergio Perez, making them fresh tyres work right at the beginning. The other big movers from that one were Valtteri Bottas, who had a brilliant race actually, made up 4 places at the start. Lewis Hamilton also had a really good start, made up 2 places as well, past Alonso and his teammate George Russell. A poor start from Fernando. Alonso dropped down 2 places, nearly got taken out by his teammate right at the start there. I'm not sure what Lance Stroll was doing, but really brake late and had a bit of a love tap from Alonso. He got really lucky, he didn't get a puncture on his rear tyre with that one. Hulkenberg, who had a brilliant start, qualifying position, started in P10, had a really poor start, dropped 4 places. Unsure what that was there, but the winner of the race, Max Verstappen, Red Bull just streaked away with it. They looked impressive right from the very start. It just didn't look like anyone could touch him. Even with Ferrari saving that soft tyre on Leclerc, just didn't work out for him, unfortunately. Overtaker of the day has got to be Alonso. He was absolutely on fire. What a brilliant move he made on Lewis Hamilton down into turn 10. It was, the slow, loopy left-hander. Just threw it on the inside. Nobody passes there. It was an absolutely brilliant move. He had another brilliant move. He set Carlos Sainz up brilliantly for that 3rd place move. Another great move on George Russell as well. He was in the battle. He was fast. They really shown their race pace to Aston Martin. Driver of the day has got to be Fernando Alonso. Pulled out the overtakes when it mattered. Brilliant moves. Was solid throughout the race. Zhou Guanyu actually got the fastest lap of the race, right at the very last lap. But he was poor up until that point through the whole race. Now through the teams, Red Bull, they just look ominous, don't they? Absolutely on fire. Max Verstappen got away well and kept his first place route, just didn't look in any trouble. He did come on the team rotor complaining about gear shifts. He was saying they were a bit clunky. I think that's the only time the other teams thought they might be in for a chance was with a Red Bull failure, to be honest, but they managed to keep on top of that. Perez did really well to catch up and pass Leclerc again, despite getting past in the start. I mean, even after that, Perez didn't really seem to make too much of an impression on Leclerc up until the second stint where he made the pass pay. Ferrari was really struggling, even on the hard tyres with Deg. And Perez made a good move on Charles Leclerc and then was solid in P2. He was about 10 seconds off Max Verstappen and about 25 seconds clear of Alonso in the end, who finished in 3rd place. But that was it. Ferrari, they had a poor weekend. Charles Leclerc out, they're saying with engine issues again. That'll be really disappointing for them. That was the big concern of whether they can have reliability, and to have that power unit loss for the first race of the season, they'll be really disappointed with that. They had poor race pace and they just couldn't keep up. Carlos Sainz lucky to keep his 4th place. I mean, Lewis Hamilton just didn't have the pace to pass him in the end, unfortunately, but he was in a battle with Hamilton. Was Carlos Sainz. He had not a great race, to be honest with you. Really disappointing from them. Mercedes was shown the 4th best team, to be honest with you, behind the Red Bulls, the Ferraris, and Aston Martin, but that's where they are. Lewis Hamilton came on the radio at the end and sort of said, look, this is a good result for us in P5, better than what they expected, and they've got a lot of work to do from here. Toto Wolff already sort of saying that they need to probably scrap this concept on this car. It's not going to be what they were hoping for, and that's really disappointing to hear from Mercedes fans, especially so early in the season, that they're going to scrap the whole concept. I mean, they've been working on this for the whole winter, and to hear that after this qualifying session yesterday, really just we'll see what they do with this Mercedes, how far they go along with it before they throw their money and their efforts into next season to try and develop it from there. Lewis Hamilton got up to 5th place at the start, a solid position from him. He was about 3 seconds off the pace of Carlos Sainz, and then time managed on the Haas on lap 24, so didn't really have great race paces. One thing that they were really good at last season, despite qualifying poorly, was their race pace, and they were just sort of so-so. Didn't really have the race pace as well, which should be more disappointing for them, I suppose. Despite that, Hamilton with a great battle with Alonso, and then really only held on to Sainz when Alonso and Sainz were sort of battling with each other, and they both lost time, allowing Hamilton to sort of stick with Sainz. He did have a couple of chances to catch up on Sainz, but then Sainz slowly dropped Lewis out of the DRS, and thereafter it was just a solid race finish for 5th place for Hamilton. George Russell, he was in a battle with Alonso early on. Alonso passed him, and then he just had a difficult race, did George Russell. Didn't seem to have the pace at any point, and then he had a brilliant battle with Hamilton at one point, and then he just struggled after that. He got passed by Lance Stroll, who made the undercut work for his second stop, and after that he didn't really make any impact on Stroll. After that did George Russell. He just sort of stayed solidly behind him, and a 5th, 7th place finish for him, so I'll be disappointed with him. Aston Martin, absolutely brilliant, a podium for them. Fernando Alonso absolutely on it. He was mega, driver of the day for me. Brilliant battles with Sainz, fantastic race pace, and they'll be really, really happy with that. It's a shame for us because we thought they might be in a battle with Red Bull, but not really got that pace yet. But maybe there's more to come from them, and they're one of the teams with the most CFD points available, so they can probably the only team out of the big ones that could probably get the most out of that and really push the Red Bulls, hopefully with their development towards the end of the season. We'll have to see how that plays out for them. Lance Stroll had a solid race. He was running in P7 at one point, then made the undercut work and got past George Russell. I think that was the most we could expect from him today. He probably should have done better, but I think with his injury, coming off surgery after just 7 days, to a solid P6, he won't be too disappointed with that one there. Next for McLaren, it was an absolute weekend to forget. I don't even know where to start. Piastri went out what looked like an electrical issue, and that was around lap 16. Lando Norris then had issues with sort of the air compression within the engine, so had made about 6 or 7 stops to constantly fill up with that. Finished in P17, effectively last, and Piastri out. The only good thing was that Lando Norris at one point in the race had some decent race pace, and I don't know if that's just because he was so out of sync with everybody else. He has decent tyres, and where else everyone else was fading on their tyres, and with fresher tyres it looked like he was better than probably actually was. But yeah, really, really disappointing start to the season for McLaren. Long way to go for them. Alpine will be really disappointed with their start to the season. I mean, Ocon had an absolute nightmare of a race. He started the race out of position on the grid box, so he got a penalty for that. He went in to serve a 5-second penalty, didn't serve that correctly, then got a 10-second penalty. He then got a further 5-second penalty. He got damage to his front wing. It was an absolutely really poor race for him, and then he was out on lap 43. A decent race for Gasly though. He started in last place and made it down to P9, so a good start for him in his Alpine career. But Alpine, who were finished 4th last season, will be hoping for a lot more than that this season. The Haas team, they had really good 1-lap pace in qualifying. Hulkenberg started in 6th place, but he had started in 10th place. Hulkenberg, but he'd be really disappointed in the race. He started a really poor start, dropped 4 places, finished the race in 15th. Did Hulkenberg. K-Mag started in 17th, finished 13th. They struggled This didn't have the race pace, did the Haas? And they were one team that was kind of hoping after a solid start to this campaign last season, they'd hopefully start well, but well down and out with points. Alpha Tauri showed solid race pace, to be honest with you. Nick De Vries, who started 19th, he finished 14th, so a decent run for him. Yuki Tsunoda started in P14, finished 11th, just couldn't get the pass on Albon in the end, but a solid race from Yuki Tsunoda there. De Vries did well in the race, to be honest with you, so some good race pace considering where they started, so promising for them. But outside the points, and hopefully they'll pick up some momentum following that going from here forward. Alfa Romeo, Bottas was absolutely brilliant. He was up running P6 and 7 at one point, but a solid finish in P8 for Alfa Romeo. They had really good race pace. He started in 12th place, made up 4 places at the start, and it looked like maybe they're just a good start and they'd fall back, but actually had really good race pace and kept that place throughout. A really good result for him and solid points for Alfa Romeo at the start. Zhou Guanyu had a so-so race. He started in 13th, finished P16 in the end. He got a poor start, and then he was back up to P13 at one point, but then just dropped off following that. I know he got fastest lap of the race at the end on the softs, but I don't know where that pace was for the rest of the race, to be honest with you. And Williams, much improved. They were finally off the back of the grid, and Alex Albon, solid as ever, got a P10 for them. A brilliant point in their first race under new management, so I'll be really happy with that. And new boy Logan Sargent, who've been given a hard time, I have personally anyway, thinking he won't be very good. Pretty solid race. He finished about 8 seconds off his teammate in P12. That's really promising for his first race in Formula 1, to be just so close to his more experienced teammate in Alex Albon, so I'll be really happy with that. Overall, it just looks ominous for Red Bull. They just looked so fast in one lap pace, in race pace. They just had it all under control. A solid 1-2, probably scary for the rest of the field, see if they can actually close that gap. Alonso was the highlight of the race, absolutely brilliant from him, and the tight and challenging hopes sort of seemed to lie with him. Really disappointed for Ferrari. Let's hope we get some more closer racing up at the front for P1 and 2, and it's not just a Red Bull whitewash, but it was today in Bahrain, nothing less to say. Next we go to Saudi, a circuit that I personally absolutely love the high-speed circuit, so let's see how that one pans out. But it was a really interesting first race of the season. Alonso gets his podium, which was my preceding prediction, come true already in the race one. Thought I didn't expect that one, but a podium for Aston Martin in race 1, Alonso in P3. Brilliant to see him on the podium. We'll see you next out in Saudi. Thanks very much for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment. See you in the next video.